Yeah, yeah. Light it up. Grab a drink, we bout to chop it up. Yeah, yeah. Chop it up, chop it up. We just vibing, never run. Real talk, no filter, no front. Laughing loud, that's how we run. Chop it up, chop it up. Best nights when the words don't stop. From the soul, yeah, we keep it above. That's the vibe when we chop it up. Pull up, no plan, just a move. Kicks on the couch, we in the groove. Yeah. Deep combos at 2 a.m. Fix the world and we laugh again. No phone, just us and the vibe. Truth on the table, we keep it live. We just vibing, never rush. Real talk, no filter, no front, no front. Laughing loud.
Dang, that was nice. It's almost like I feel like we should have some background music, huh?
Playing the whole time?
We could do it if you want.
No, I'm good.
Let's see how it's. I have it all the way down. Let's see what it's outside. No?
Yeah, it's too loud over. It's too loud.
Turn it off, man. What's wrong with you?
Where the hell's the live at, though?
Mm. Yeah, it says live right here. I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you refreshed since it started? You have to make the refresh. Eh?
Stay fresh.
I'll make it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang. There we are. In delayed form. I decided to do that. Yep. So that's running.
All right.
So I guess it's just you and I until someone else pops up. But hey, everybody, my name is Alex Nusila. I'm here in Florida. And just here to chop it up and hang out. Just kind of talk story, right?
Yeah, just talk story, see what's up, what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? In all the worlds. There's a lot of worlds out here that we're living. A lot of lives that we're living out here, huh?
Hey, what team are we representing today? On your shirt.
What was I? Oh, Oregon State. Beavers.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course, it is the coaching staff shirt. Oh, let me button this up for. Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's chop it up.
All right. I'm here for it. I kind of like the idea of you were saying you like all the smoke when it comes to like some of these more spicy topics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for it, as long as, I just never want to be disrespectful to anyone let's say who's in the live who might feel uncomfortable about it. Other than that, I don't mind talking about anything.
Well, you can't have both.
I think you can.
Because we're not intentionally trying to insult anybody.
Right.
All this is just, what we think either off the top of the head or we critically think about what we're going to say beforehand or whatever. So,
well, hypothetically, let's say we had, Joe Schmo in the, here with us, talking with us. We're just having a great conversation. And then it's a little touchy subject. If you guys don't mind, I'd have to respect that, I wouldn't push that further. If he didn't want to talk, I would talk about it. But if he doesn't want to talk about it, I'm not going to push information out of him, or I'm not going to try and make him feel uncomfortable about it.
You're talking about a guest?
Yeah, because I don't really care about you guys. I mean, the guest. Come on, guys.
The guest. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, can't force anybody to talk about anything they don't want to talk about. Sure.
And I think I think we would know before we asked if it was going to be spicy. You know, if it was going to be something of with some oomph to it. You know.
Right. Probably tell him to give us a list of the things he doesn't want to talk about. He or she. Right.
No, I think it's better for us to get into it. So there's this insinuation of something he doesn't want to talk about, but we didn't bring it up. He showed it to us.
You sneaky bastard, you.
Hey, don't blame me. Look, we're here to chop it up, man.
That's just the process of chopping it up, man.
Yeah. If you kapau gutapu, I'm sorry about it. I didn't know.
Sorry about it. Yeah. I see more and more videos of Polly's trying to correct Polly's, and it can go both ways because I know I've done it. But the left, if we're talking politics, I've seen more and more videos of Polly's correcting Trump supporters and conservatives. And when I hear them and say what they really got to say, they're talking from obviously the left's point of view, but talking points, right? Headlines. And I thought, well, and these are educated people. And I'm thinking, if you just do just the basic, because the one dude was like, my parents supported Trump, and I was like, you know what? That doesn't make sense. Why would you support Trump? Right?
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, it's basic in my calculations as far as if it was just on the gender thing, right? Trump made it federal that there's only two genders, male and female. Just that. How does that not make sense to you, to this dude that was saying that? How does that? What are you thinking as far as your Tongan parents, right? Grew up in Tonga, for a president to say, even like if you heard it in Tongan, if Trump said, "Ikai oku genders," uabe, and to a Tongan parent, like, oh, money. That's what it says there.
That's basic information.
Basic, and then you get kind of deeper in there, and you're like, the boys can become girls. We have Faretis, Mahus, and Falfinas or whatever, but as long as I've known them, they've always known that they're boys that like to do girl things.
Right.
Recently, it's it's you. If your soul or your inside is a girl, you're a girl. That doesn't make sense to the parents. It's like, God, especially because Polynesia is God believing, God fearing, God information type people. So to them, it's like, if the Lord made us that way, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then you go into deeper. Because they can, become girls, they can go in the girls' locker room. Oh, now you're just stepped into the tapu. Yeah, and it's
just kind of it's an insane conversation sometimes, because if you keep going down that path of the transgender ideology, then you start to see, well, those of those individuals who are men who want to become women are basically men who are adopting women's rights. So now it kind of like waters down the women's right movement, because now the men can absorb those rights just as much as a woman can. And if he wants to be in a locker room with women, he has those rights too. So I think that's one of the issues that a lot of people see, and I can understand that.
So for a Tongan dude to not understand why his parents are Trump supporters, and you just walk through some of the basics of it, then it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And these are supposedly educated people from college. Obviously, they're, that entire institution is left leaning, right? Because they come up with the wackiest ideas. progressivism, in the context that it's used today, it's like these people just don't make any sense. And to see polys in this generation or the generation after us, as far as the younger people, it's just I'm with Charlie Kirk on that one. I think that the institution of higher learning, for the most part, is a waste, especially if they are indoctrinating the kids to think left.
Yeah.
And so when these polys come out confidently talking about how off the right is, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're losing them. We're losing these bastards.
What do you think about the idea of just allowing people to um, go down that route of this woke ideology and then enveloping themselves in this degeneracy that eventually ends up where they come to this conclusion that this is not the right way. I chose I chose the wrong path. What do you think about that idea?
Well, it's just like how the Palangi say, you're liberal until you get a job and go live your life and get married and all that, right? A lot of people who are talking like this, this weird leftist ideology, are people who are by themselves or right out of school or in college, and then once they realize that they can start a business or they're going to have to share their, once they realize that, once they learn the true, reality of living, of life, then yeah, they're going to eventually turn back, or have an epiphany like, what? Why did I think? There's a lot more people who turn back from left to right than there
Yeah.
is that go from right to left, right? Because of the logic. And when you see liberals, especially like, look at Bill Maher. He's always
He's
been on the left throughout my whole time I've known him.
and he's still fighting. It's like he's like a baby that wants to go to sleep, but he doesn't want to sleep. It's like what's right. Just go ahead and
Yeah,
jump on this side.
right. So for him to be fighting his own side and then his own side disowning him
Yeah.
is crazy to me. Like, oh, that means that they're just going more and more left.
Right.
And so I'm wondering how many polys are thinking that their parents are that off, coming out of school with a master's in something or
Right.
a PhD in something, and then end up coming out with that indoctrination. To me, that's weird. That's off, you know, culturally and spiritually. But yeah, just like you said, we can't control that. But we can speak out on it continuously. And then once they do realize that, they're going to come back to us and be like, oh, these are the guys who talked about it.
Right.
They chopped it up about it before. And now that we realize it, and we realize that those guys were right, let's go over there and watch Chop It Up podcast.
Well, I know what I believe in. I know what I stand for. I know that a lot of things, almost everything I believe in, aligns with the conservative view.
Right.
But I don't push anything. I talk to Pam about most of my beliefs, but that's about it. I don't push any ideology. I don't challenge anyone. I kind of allow people around me to operate the way they do. And naturally, even if I'm absorbing everything that everyone's saying, I'm still conservative. I'm not swaying myself or anything. And so
Right.
I think the reason why I'm saying that is that sometimes when you get all upset about what the news is pushing or the media is trying to shove down your throat, sometimes that adjusts the way you see things. It manipulates the way you see things to the point where maybe I should see what the left is about or anything. And I don't know if there's a saying that I can align with that, but I think sometimes we just allow, not the freedoms, but if we just allow things to happen, and not challenge or you don't have to be an activist for everything. I think you could find out who you naturally are. And a lot of us would find out we're more conservative than anything. So.
Yeah, I'm on the side of um, the right or conservatives that don't speak out are um, good men that do nothing. You know how they say what's worse than a bad person doing bad things is a good person not doing, or whatever that phrase, however that phrase goes.
Right.
It's worse for good men to do nothing. And so, just talking about it, chopping it up, and letting it go out into the airwaves. I
Hmm.
do think that there is a stand that has to be had by individuals for people to hear, you know, and listen to, because later on down the line, then we become that voice of reason if we do stand up for it.
So, what's your definition of standing up for it or being a voice for it?
Um, if there is, like, just in the poly community, right?
Hmm.
I think responses, like for me, I would respond to those videos. Well, if I had more time, I would respond a lot more. I would respond to those videos of poly, pretty much poly kids. You know, they're in their 20s. Seems like those videos that I watch, who are talking about liberal ideology, and
Right.
respond to them. Um, in case there are people that are confused as to, oh, these guys went to school and they graduated for some and got education, and so maybe we should listen to them. Nah, fuck them.
Right.
The principles that you were raised with for your parents, and your parents would not think like that. Would not think left. Would not, if you know, if they knew everything. Even for parents not to come out and say, "Nah, that's not how we do. That's not how we behave. That's not how we believe." You can't
Right.
believe in God and believe in the stuff that they're being indoctrinated in college, the
Right.
highest, highest learning. So that's why I'm like, dude, somebody's got to come up, should say something, so that there's at least, um, when they see it, there's a conflict. If they haven't chosen sides, for them to listen to both sides, or to hear both sides at least.
Yeah. So,
Or
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh no, just or else they're gonna be convinced by anything, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think conservatism in its purest form a lot of times is really, you know, focusing on yourself and how you can help others in a quiet way. That's how I believe it. And I think the opposite of activism and protesting everything is more of a liberal state of mind. And I think for me, I think a lot of times it's all you. I think you should do what's appropriate to your role in life. So if you're a person who is, and I know we're on a podcast where we're talking about this, and people will hear this, but I think if your job is to speak in public all the time, I think then you should have the at least the opportunity and the willingness to share what you're about. Where I think it's kind of a problem is when um, you get into a place where you're really not supposed to be there, and you're just pushing your ideology as a conservative into a space that's nothing but liberal. I think it just creates a drama and friction for no reason, and that point of friction I don't think is helpful to the conservative movement. I think conservatives are very I think by the name of being conservative is being to yourself, focusing on building your family, protecting your family, um, uh, what your religion is, what your occupation is, focusing on bettering yourself that way, and in doing so, bringing up your family and your friends at the same time. So I'm okay with myself just being quiet until it's the appropriate time for me to say something. But I think sometimes when you bring, you know, just because you see a video, for me, if I see a TikTok on or a video on TikTok and it says something that I agree with, I don't feel like I need to like respond every time I see someone who says something that I don't agree with. I don't think that's an appropriate way to operate day to day. You know what I mean? But that's just me. And if other people feel like they should, that's that's your own your own prerogative.
Right. And I used to think that way, but with people with platforms, and I know we aren't big yet. Um, I think people with platforms um, have, and they don't have to. They obviously don't have to. But nowadays, I think nowadays, especially now that everything is political, just in my own opinion, there has to be, you have to at least show something or take a stand, um, or else you might be confused with agreeing with it.
Right. Right.
And that's what I don't want. I don't want to be quiet to where people think, oh, he's not saying anything, so he must agree. And I know that guy's intelligent, you know. So if they look at you and say, I know Alex is intelligent, he's a smart guy. He, when you ask him for whatever is on his mind, he'll tell you and articulate it right and everything. But if you don't stand for something, right, then you're gonna fall for anything. And
That's a nice tagline, but I don't believe that in all cases. I think I
sure,
think I
sure,
think I think in our ability to be intelligent, sometimes being quiet, it's not always correlation is causation. Just because someone's quiet doesn't automatically mean he's agreeing with it. Sometimes people like to not say anything and just let everyone else who's loud and obnoxious say the crazy things they're going to say and reserve the right to be silent. And I think I think that's a I don't think it's dangerous, but I don't think it's prudent for people to think that, oh, what do you have to say? And sometimes when people say that to me, I feel like, what am I, a dog that has to do these tricks because you want me to? If I don't want to say anything, I don't have to say anything. And just because I don't say anything doesn't mean I agree or disagree with what's going on. It's just I don't believe what I'm going to say is going to change your opinion. However, your point as to like us being on here and eventually if someone was to say, hey, Alex, can you come, or Lolo, can you come over here and talk to these guys? I would be more than willing to share if that's what they want to hear, my personal or my my opinions and um, you know my commitments, the things that I believe in, my faith. I'm fine with that. But I think when it's done in just a way of just trying to be loud and obnoxious, that's where I don't think I could ever do that. Nah, that's just me.
yeah. And I don't expect any of us to be loud and obnoxious.
Oh, but
Uh,
a lot of people are, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's loud and obnoxious to me.
yeah.
But sometimes I do feel like a response is necessary because if nobody responds to these videos or these people, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want the next generation to think that because they went to school and got a degree of some sort that we should listen to them
All
because
right.
because they're smart or something. And we already know that from elementary school, high school, all into higher learning, that the whole institution is taken over by the left.
Right.
We already know that government has been taken over by the left. We know that Hollywood and Washington, D.C. has a lot of influence on the left. So my thing is, okay, so when are we going to stand up and at least inform, if for those of us that like to come on and podcast and talk, um, to say something, um, to inspire the next generation. Oh, okay. Because if they're thinking logically and critically about what's going on and they feel like it's wrong, but the wrong has taken over academic academia and government, then it's like, well, we're gonna go with it, right? You did you see the movie on Angel, um, Truth and Treason?
An angel?
Yeah, Angel Studio.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, it's about a kid that his brother brings him a radio from somewhere, and he starts listening to the radio because it was illegal to listen to the radio of any stations that was outside of Germany. And he got the radio and he was listening to a station from just outside Germany and saying how terrible Hitler was, right? And so he started to kind of pick that up, and then he started passing out flyers everywhere, even though it was illegal. But when he'd go to church, and the bishop and the congregation would all stand up and say, "Heil Hitler." Mormon church. This kid was Mormon. And before
Wow.
church, they would all stand and say, "Heil Hitler." And everybody, "Heil Hitler." And then I was like, damn, is that the destination we're going right now with them taking over? So if they're taking over each institution, then who's going to stand up and say, no, 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 we're not how Hitler in church,
Right.
right? But at the same time, people can still be fooled into it, or at least, go along to get along type thing until they become part of the problem. So,
Mm.
and then I think back to, well, how was it in the pre-existence, right? Because they said there was a big war in the pre-existence and people chose sides and whatnot. Like, I think the political thing has always been something that our souls have always stood for something, and we chose something to be a part of. We chose to come here, and we chose the plan of God and the atonement of Jesus Christ and all that. We chose that. And then I'm thinking, well, who influenced me? Or did I just think it was a good idea?
Right.
And I followed because he took a third of the host of these, these people. So they were obviously convincing. They were obviously had stuff that felt good to whoever went with them. You know what I mean? And were there people that were convinced of that idea but just couldn't go with it because they didn't couldn't get a body? Is there people convinced of that idea? Just the borderline people that just, you know, barely made it here.
Right.
So that's the grand scheme of me looking at it like, well, I don't want to say Heil Hitler in church. Who's going to stand up and actually be that little stolen radio for the ones who are growing up and they sense the truth. They know, oh, what these guys are talking about is true. Because the
Yeah.
other thing just doesn't feel right.
Well, there's. I think about that a lot about what was happening in Germany during that time, and I don't think a lot of people apply like just some common sense, because I think we want to like apply this idea, this beautiful life that we live here in America to what was happening then, because we see that as evil, the outcome of that. But during that time when Hitler was becoming popular and he was gathering a lot of support, I think at that time, they had poverty and they had a lot of hardships in finding jobs and stuff. A lot of people saw that as a way to get up and get a job and take care of their family, and they saw some nationalism where they felt, hey, let's be proud in who we are, where we come from. And I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm saying in the moment we have to at least be honest with ourselves to say a lot of people were doing that because they're believing in that moment that they were doing the right thing. I think a lot of them, if they saw what the outcome was and what was really going on, probably would have chosen a different way. And I think when we look at the third of the host, the 33% of the hosts that um, went with Lucifer, I think we have to say that that's probably what happened in their mind. His idea of just you know getting to perfection without all the steps of qualifying yourself was a better way to do things. And I think they could probably, or there's probably a bunch of them right now saying, maybe I just didn't choose the right side, but I'm here now and this is what I can do. I don't have a body. you know. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I
Yeah,
think
but that's what I mean. The whole go along to get along, and that's what I feel like. So these poly kids are coming out indoctrinated with, like, oh no, this is what it is. Like, because what you're saying as far as, oh no, this is how it is. This is what it is, right?
right.
And then we're out here, we're older, we're conservative, we're like, no, that's not how it is. That's
Yeah,
not how
right.
it should be,
It's
right?
not how life really is. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, just like you're saying, we can let it run its course, but just like we've had people in our lives that have give us instruction, or whether it's the home teachers or the church leaders or whoever else, parents, of course, uncles, aunts, grandparents, who gave us a little bit of information, a little at a time, and even the ones that grow up, and make wrong decisions and eventually come back, right? Um, they always will come back because whoever told them what was right, they figure it out and they find out, oh, they were right.
So do you think that that's not a good thing to allow people to go through that process of failing and going through being burnt by the ideology that they follow and then coming back and saying, do you think that's a bad idea?
Absolutely not. We have no
Oh,
choice. They have to go through it.
right,
If they're not going to believe the truth, if not going to listen to logic and rationale, then yeah, those guys are going to have to go and see it themselves. I'm talking
right,
about the ones who don't know, aren't sure, are
right.
like this. Hold
Well,
on,
because you had a video earlier um, that
right?
you were talking about, um, and I believe the same thing, that some of the strongest members of the church are those who fell away and came back, after going through this process of being ex-Mormon and talking bad about the church. When they do eventually come back, they seem to be like the most devout members you'll ever meet. So where'd he go? Is he alive? Hey, Nagemate. Well, I don't know what happened to my friend, but my friend is not here. Play a little music wise, MIA. Oh, you're back. You good?
Sorry. Yeah, I had to go drain the weasel, if you will.
This guy. Yeah. Like the song says, keep it real, no filter.
uh,
Yeah.
Let me pull this closer so it's more convenient. Oh man.
And I
So
think, oh,
what
go
is
ahead.
that?
No, I
Go ahead.
also think, sometimes there are these arguments that are made in statements that it's almost like someone wants you to be a certain way when they make these statements. For instance, and I know you didn't make the statements when some people say, oh, silence means you're complicit. And I think whoever made that statement was trying to make an argument towards one thing or the other. But I think it's a simplified way of looking at something that's really complex. Also, it's someone's way of trying to manipulate your ideology from being uh, conservative and um, holding your ideals close to you to being someone who's more activist and just blurting it out. I think that is not a smart way to do things. I'll give you an example. You know, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they thought in their mind, from their perspective, a person who is a cleric or a person who is a man of God should only be around those who are the congregation or the followers of God or the righteous, right? And so they were they believed in their mind by saying these crazy things about our Savior Jesus Christ. How can he be the Savior when you know he hangs out with the sinners and you know and the beggars, and the prostitutes, you know. And it's such a simplified way of looking at something that's really complex. And I think Christ's response was really important when he said, well, I'm the Savior. And just like a doctor who isn't here for those who are healthy, he's here for those who are sick. I'm not here for those who are righteous. I'm here for those who are sinners. I think we lose sight of that very important aspect of if we truly are, God-fearing, Christians or conservatives, that there's an aspect to a very complex way of operating that people can't see and they can't understand because they use this simple perspective to try and understand what you're doing. And I really love that story. It's one of my favorite stories about Christ, about him saying that, because it really gives me a good perspective of, the harder we work at being righteous, opposite of what Christ said, I think the more righteous we become, the more we are targeted by, the adversary. And I think people lose track of that idea too sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I think then a different approach should be taken then if we're talking about Christ, because Christ didn't come and argue with anybody.
Right.
Right. He came and he told his apostles, just go out and teach this doctrine.
Right.
So I think, okay, instead of arguing and debating anybody, just teach the doctrine of truth, just like they're teaching their doctrine, right? When the publicans and the Sadducees and Pharisees, because they talked a lot about policy. This is the policy of Moses, this is the policy that we've created, right? Certain amount of steps on Sunday. If the ass falls in the ditch or whatever, are you going to save it? A bunch of policy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of arguing with people, then why don't we just go and just preach the truth?
Well,
Is what I'm getting from what you're saying, as far as we don't have to go out and fight and debate and everybody. I agree. Okay. Maybe I do get, a little bit more passionate or emotional about it, as far as why the hell are these polys teaching this crap? I'm going to go and freaking argue and debate
right.
them. When
Right.
really, you know what? I have enough truth and enough doctrine where it's better if I just go push the truth and the doctrine and just let it land where it lands, right? Let the seed land where in the fertile soil.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share and these are some like pearls that I hold close to my heart that I probably should share with more people, but mathematically in my mind, these pearls that I hold make sense, but it won't make sense to a lot of people, right? So let me just take it a little further of what I said. People who are out protesting and shouting out and saying, this is what we believe in, they're using words and they're using sound and they're using all these things, right? But I think we as members, if we're quiet, I'm fine with that. But I think if we go out and we do just the opposite, or we do similar things to them, and we go out and we say words, by what we understand in the gospel, those words are dead, right? Because those words are part of our faith. And so if I go out and I proselyte and I teach about the Savior, and I believe in my mind that those words are not useful unless we qualify them. And the qualifier for that is works. And I believe even if you do works without the words, you speak volumes and you teach more to another human being in the works that in the service that you give and the things that you do, way louder than one word that you can say when you go and help someone else out, and you push this beautiful gospel of Jesus Christ more to everyone by doing those things than saying even one word. That's what I believe, because I believe that, when they say faith without works, and works to me is service, is dead, I truly believe if we talk and we say all these crazy things and we say, and we say the beauty of whatever the gospel is, but we do nothing of service, I believe from what the word says and mathematically, it's not of use. It's not it holds no stock. It doesn't hold any truthful root in anything to teach other people. So, but I don't share that with a lot of people. I know a lot of people that's crazy, you know, because they're looking from a different perspective. But I truly feel that. I feel like, you know, if our job was to be a missionary, missionaries that went out and just did service, which show so much of Christ's love, even before they say one word, before they get into, you know, sharing the, you know, to investigators, sharing to them what the principles and the ordinances are of the gospel.
Yeah, I think that, and we may have come to a disagreement at this point, only because then Christ wouldn't have told them to go teach them this thing. And then the church wouldn't send the missionaries out to go teach them something.
Well, I think I'm saying the same thing. I think I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying there are a lot of people who are saying teaching means just to go say words. I'm saying let's teach and let's be of service so that we complete what Christ has said, faith without works is dead. We have to do both to make that happen. And I think doing both encompasses what teaching is in the Lord's, you know, commandment to us. That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing that yes, we must go, we must say the words, we must do these things. But I think if we fail to do the service part, there's a beauty, and I can't even describe what it is when you go and help someone out who needs help, and you do it, you know, without any, you know, gain, or, you know, you're not looking for any monetary, you know, return or anything. There's a beauty that, and a spark that happens in that relationship, that they see the light of Christ in you that you can't do sometimes, a lot of times, with just words. But yes, I think teaching has to happen. I'm just saying, if we look at service and words, service will overpower any word that we ever say. I'm not saying not to say words. I'm just saying service is a big deal. And I don't see it as part of a lot of, you know, what the missionary work is these days.
Yeah, no, I agree as far as your works. Yeah, a lot of people, because I know, you know, OGs. I have an uncle that barely ever talked, but his works, I mean, showed me everything I needed to know.
Oh yeah.
But you can't, and maybe you can, um, if you were to compare showing somebody's works online on a podcast or anything, or what they say and sing about, you know, in message, as far as influence is concerned, a lot more people are going to listen to something and follow it and believe it, and you do it enough times and say it enough times, they're going to believe it, than for anybody to see what you do or see your works, you know, as far as if we were to throw it out online. You know what I mean? I think the people who benefit from your works are the people who see it, and those are the ones
Yeah.
that. And you can put it out on, you know, online or whatever, but I just feel like because there is so much talk, there's so much listening, right? Most of the podcasts, or if not all of them, are people talking.
Right.
As far as good works um, being put out online, I'm not sure how influential it is, and I'm sure it is, but and I'm sure a lot of people, and a lot of people talk about how you know, nice and good different churches and religions, and they may not believe in the LDS Church or the Mormons, but they some of them see what they do for society, for, you know, in a crisis and whatnot. But yeah, I'm with the, we got to make a stand in this platform, because a lot of the people who are listening don't want to say anything. They're just listening, right?
Right.
And I think we should balance out and even out what they're listening to.
Well, I totally agree with that. I was talking about more on a interpersonal relationship, that when we're not on here. But I get what you're saying now. I get, you know, yes, we need to express what we stand for here on this platform. But I'm just saying, in our day-to-day life, I think if we're trying to be stewards and arbiters of the gospel of Jesus Christ, I think a lot of times the service that we do away from social media speaks volumes to others about, about the light of Christ. That's what I was talking about. But yes, I do believe that we need to stand up. And I mean, if you don't say anything on a podcast, I don't even know what the objective is to be on here.
Right.
So yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But
So-
yes, of course, I think we need to do that here. But I'm talking about, because most people who are going to watch this, are probably going to be, doing their day-to-day mundane things, and I think
Yeah.
it's a good message to let people know that, yeah, if you stand for something, if you want to talk about it. But I think, especially when it comes to Christians, I think doing works is a fabulous way to spread the gospel.
Sure. And that's what I was saying about, and there's 3, 4, 5, there's a few liberal polys that I have listened to, a few of them, where it's like they're never going to see my works, but they're out here, talking all this nonsense on the left. How is it that we have polys that believe so much on the left? So that's why I was saying we've got to balance those guys out, or at least balance it out. So
Yeah.
but I do agree. Yeah, it works. Yeah, of course.
I just disagree with some of, not yours, but some people, how they believe that you got to fight fire with fire. I don't think this is that type of war when the ideologies clash. I think on one side, they talk about activism, protesting, let's be honest, taking others' lives, that people they don't agree with. I don't think we should say the opposite to combat that. I think we need to be better people. I think we could function and show that, we could do things. And in a debate, or as we talk now, we could say what we need to say. But I think in the real world, just go to work, go take care of your kids, go, be a great father or be a great coach and do the things you're supposed to. And
I absolutely believe that. And there's a lot of defenders of the LDS religion. There's a lot of defenders out there.
Defenders of the universe.
Yeah. And to me, I think it's a waste of time. Why are you wasting your time defending? If you spend all your time defending and debating and rebutting all these claims, then you're never going to have time to just share the doctrine, share the truth, just share, right?
Yeah.
And so, I do believe that some of it's just like, what good comes out of you just saying, no, that's not what happened. Joseph Smith did this, or the book is this, or that. Just
What's
share
the
what
objective?
just share the message, right?
Right.
Don't go out freaking defending the church. Like, just share the message, because it doesn't matter where it comes from. It may come from the doctrine of the church, but it's not like the church has a great name, or a lot of people talk good about it. So you might as well just share the doctrine,
right,
and let them decide for themselves. No different from the polys that are liberal. Like, we might as well just share the doctrine of the right, or the doctrine of conservatism, and then let that happen that way. Let them attack, we share.
Yeah, when I was in the military, I was stationed in Hawaii, and I had a first sergeant his name was First Sergeant Ronaldo. I think, it was First Sergeant Nieves, Ronaldo Nieves. Shout out to First Sergeant Nieves, man. Best first sergeant I had. And we were, because I was an older guy in the military, we were really good friends, even though I was a lower rank. But we talked a lot about stuff. I worked in the orderly room, so I interacted with First Sergeant a lot. And so, for about 2 or 3 years working around him, one day, I think we were going to company lunch or something, and I caught a ride with him. and we were talking, and he just randomly asked me, so, hey, what church do you go to? And I said, oh, I'm Mormon. And it was the funniest thing. Like, what? And like, yeah, it's like, I would have thought you were a Mormon. You're just such a normal guy. And I thought to myself, he's like, you're such a good guy. And I mean, you try to do good things. And I think there's a stigma that's attached to the history or what the mainstream want people to think about the church, that sometimes I think it's a disadvantage to introduce yourself as a Mormon, especially in your occupation. So a lot of times it doesn't even come up. I just introduce myself, and I don't think it's appropriate sometimes when you're in front of a big formation of soldiers to just, tell them what your religion is. But there are a lot of soldiers and leaders that they lead with, yeah, I'm a member of the Mormon Church or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Right.
It doesn't work for me because I see a lot of times once you have put that label on yourself, everything you do is everyone's critical of it, and then they attach it to your being a Mormon instead of attaching it to you just being a knucklehead who did something crazy,
Right.
So I try to just be a good person, and then show them that through my belief in Christ, and I'm by no means am I perfect, not even close, but I think I strive to do right by others, and if we just do those things and we live the way we're taught, in primary and growing up in the church, then we should have no issues.
Yeah.
That's just how I operate, man.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Like in the workplace, and I've gotten that too. I grew up on a construction site. A lot of us polys have, and when Palangis find out that a lot of us are LDS, they're surprised because we talk like them. We talk to each other. They hear how we conversate, whatever, and they would never guess, right?
Right.
There's down to earth people like that would be Mormon or whatever. But
With just one wife. Oh my gosh, how can you have
yeah,
one wife?
yeah, that's terrible that we can only have one.
I don't know. Look, I don't know who can handle more than one wife.
It's
Have
not
you watched?
about.
Have you watched that show, Sister Wives?
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of that show.
Yeah, it's almost like a show that tells you, hey, that's why you don't have more than one wife, because it just doesn't end up right. So.
Well, they just did it wrong, I think, in
Mm.
my own personal opinion. I think even when Mariner was in Tonga, um, they were living it just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have my own opinions about how um, we should bring that back. But
Yeah, it was part of the church in antiquity. I think it was part of the original church for a while too.
yeah, and there was a lesson a few weeks ago about polygamy, and I've heard it in a few different classes, and people are making excuses. Oh, we were only doing this, because of that. But to me, it was like, why are you making excuses? Only because I learned what we were in Tonga, uh, and my own opinion from the Old Testament. I was like, plus I didn't mind the idea at all.
Yeah.
But why make up excuses, but still believe in the doctrine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
so
think there's a place in today's society for that, because of, laws of the land and
yeah,
just the way society is. Um, so you would have to have a society that supports that type of, marriage structure, I think,
right.
for it to go forward. But I don't think we live in one that supports that.
No, they made it illegal.
Yeah.
So But I have, yeah, it's a whole freaking conversation that I have reason of freaking bringing it back. But
Well, that's what we're here for.
yeah, but you know how Jacob, right, in the Old Testament,
Jacob that fell asleep on the rock and he woke up and is that the Jacob you're talking about?
if that's a Jacob from the Old Testament, then yeah.
Hmm. No, there's a Jacob I think that fell asleep on the rock, and when he woke up in his dream, it said wherever this rock is, that would be the most blessed land.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to go down like a whole tangent, but I don't know if you know this, but if you look at the throne where the King of England or the Queen of England she used to sit on, that throne underneath it is a rock. And they say that rock is the rock that he slept on, and because of that, at one point England ruled almost the entire world.
What? Really?
Yeah. Hmm.
My come.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think they call it the Divine Stone or something like that.
Well, how do they know that?
It's just what they say, and it's just part of their you know they believe that the Romans took the rock, and the Romans had the rock, and they moved it. And yeah, I don't know if you know, the Romans came into what we call the United Kingdom today, and they conquered that area. And I think that's when the rock came to that area, and then it made it up to Scotland, and it was part of the Scotland rulers' throne for a while. And then when Scotland became part of the United Kingdom, it came down and they put it under that Divine Stone, I believe it's called, under there. Look, I could be totally off
All right.
here, but that's
Yeah.
my off the
I,
top of the dome understanding.
yeah, I don't know that, but that does sound interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jacob.
Oh, so Jacob wanted Rachel, right?
Hmm.
And then he worked the 7 years for her, and Leah's the older sister. And instead of him getting Rachel, he was given Leah. But Leah already knew that Rachel was his chosen one, that was his right chosen wife.
Right.
But she joined anyway, joined the group, the first one. And then she brought a handmaid with her, and then she joined, right? And then finally, eventually, Rachel joined. I think there was four of them, right? She had four wives, but they all acknowledged that Rachel was his one.
Yeah.
The thing with the housewives of, the sister wives
Hmm.
is that he tried to treat everybody equally. He tried to be
Oh yeah.
fair with everybody. But I think there is something about acknowledging his soulmate.
Well, I think in those times, in King David's time, I think the law was that if you were to have more than one wife, it had to be something that your first wife. I don't know if there's a name for her, like the prime wife or the
Right.
numero uno was the one that said, "Yeah, you can have more," and then she got to choose that next person. I believe I might be wrong.
Right. No, but that makes sense that there is one mother wife or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mother
The
load,
main
the
one.
mother load, huh?
Right? Yeah, I believe that's or at least that structure. And then everybody she chooses will be a contribution to the family empire.
Right.
And they will play a part in the best in the capacity they're chosen for. I think it should be set up like a business. Like he chose her, she like they're the main ones or whatever, and then the rest of the empire should be CEO, president, vice president, all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't be the CEO wife if you're not the CEO wife. You're like in charge of activities or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the janitor wife. No, but at the same time, each of those wives are the best one for that position.
Yeah.
They understand the business, they understand what they're getting into, and their main thing is family, the structure of it. There's so many things where I feel like it's so beneficial. It's not just one man getting with a bunch of women. It's an actual structure that makes sense business wise.
Right. Right. Well, I think in Sister Wives they followed a fundamentalist LDS church rules, and all the women were uh, part of a ordinance that married them, you know, through the church, but only one was legally married to him. That
Right,
was his first wife. I think her name was Mary or something like that. But
right.
yeah, Mary, who was the only one who was legally married to him. There's a lot of drama to that. I think she
Yeah.
got divorced for a certain reason or whatever. But
Yeah, he
you
divorced. I
know,
think he divorced them all, or they all divorced him, except for
yeah.
that one. That
Well, he legally divorced the one so that the new wife, the new shiny car, was
yeah,
able to get the children adopt the name of Cody's name. And
right.
look, I might be messing this all up because I'm I'm only a fan by proxy. Pam loves the show. I don't know if she loves it, but she likes the show a lot, and so
Right.
um, I try to follow along with what's going on, so I could have a great conversation with her. But I think I think in their situation, he got legally divorced by the one so that he could marry the younger one, Robin. But
Right.
then he got church. He had to request the church to be divorced by religious covenant or religious ordinance, so he could break it off from there. And the church said no, can't do that. But the women asked, and I think some of them were granted the ability to break them off through whatever sealing or whatever they call it.
Right.
So
Interesting.
that's why I can't. Look, that's why I'm not about drama because I can't keep the line straight, man. I'm like a fisherman with 12 fishing poles. I can't keep them straight, man.
Oh man.
My mind's not is too simple for that.
Yeah. Well, and not everybody's going to be made for it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, and I think that not every woman's going to be made for it. Not every man's going to be made for it.
Well, I
You
think
know?
today in today's society, I think everyone's born into a different society where you're automatically um, understanding that it's taboo to have more than one spouse.
Yeah, and most, but there are a lot that still practice the.
Probably in secret. There's probably a bunch of them in secret.
Well, I mean, um, the Middle East has a lot of wives. I know Africa has a lot of tribes that do that. I know that
Right.
India does that. So there are societies that are born, and but yeah, how they're doing it is the question.
Right.
And
How
then
are
if
they doing it?
if you're born in that society over there, Utah, you know, area, that's what's going on.
Hmm. It's starting to get warm there,
Yeah,
or warmer.
over 60.
Hmm. You see that as a place that you think that you hope your posterity, you know, one day, your posterity is living there and they, continue to thrive in Trenton.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, they can absolutely, prosper out here, if they put in the work. And it's so cheap out here. The land, housing, gas now, like so cheap out here. Because we grew up in the city, Utah, California,
Oh,
Arizona,
California.
so My siblings were talking on a text line today. How expensive, because my sister's rent in Milpitas in the Bay Area is going to be going up. She was at 2,400 a couple years ago. Then it went up to 2,700, and now it's going up again in April to 2,900. And she was really tripping out and whatnot. But then she looked around in other areas, other places for other, houses or whatever, and they were way more than 29. They were in the 30s.
Is Milpitas close
Renting,
to is that close to Oakland or
yeah, yeah,
um, on
to
the
the
Bay
Bay Area.
side? On the Bay side of the
Bay
hill?
Area. Shoot, I'm not exactly sure.
Because I think there's a hill there. If you're going away from the bay, and on the other side there's like Walnut Creek and some of the more affluent areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Milpitas sounds like a bougie place, just the way it sounds.
Oh,
Milpitas.
yeah. I haven't been there in a long time. So, but out here, like these houses are broken down, dilapidated, or whatever. Um, dilapidated. Anyways, um, but the rent or the mortgage is $500. $400. You know what I mean? So a lot of the Tongans that moved out here to Trenton came just because of that. They
Mm,
put something down and they're all fixer uppers, right?
yeah,
But eventually people own land and they own homes, which is something that, I had no imagination of doing back in Salt Lake or California,
yeah,
you know. People say people buy their houses in California and they say they own it, but they have 30 years to pay, they have a long time to pay. We're out here, you literally can come and buy a house and own that property and it's yours.
yeah,
Well, aside from the taxes, but yeah,
yeah.
that's
I think Texas is what really that's really the tough thing for California. I don't know if you know they just had the Super Bowl there, and so if you were a player in the Super Bowl and you won the Super Bowl, I think your bonus for playing that game is $178,000.
okay.
And if you lost it, if you lost the Super Bowl, you would make $103,000. Okay.
Okay.
So those are the bonuses that you get for that. However, because of the calculation of what they call the jock tax for those who are professional athletes, you'd pay a certain percentage. I think it's 6.5. It comes out to where those players had to pay on average $250,000 tax for playing in the Super Bowl, basically negating or basically wiping away the
The bonus?
the bonus that they had. They
What?
actually they actually paid money to play in the Super Bowl. That to me is wild, man.
That's California, right?
Yeah, it's California, and next year it's going to be in Los Angeles. So,
Damn. That is crazy. So they
yeah,
had to pay to play.
yeah, that's hey, that's a next level pay to play, man.
Dude, count me out
Yeah,
at that point, That's
yeah, it's wild.
crazy.
It's wild, man.
Crazy that they would do that to him.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's what you vote for, right?
yeah. Then if you look at it from the standpoint of the taxes, the losers not only lost, but now they pay more in taxes because it's the difference between 103 to 240 something $1,000. It means you paid more. Boy, that's a kick in the nuts, man.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, we're at an hour and 9 minutes. How you feeling?
We're damn.
Yep.
What were we
Chopping it,
doing?
chopping it up, just it just flies, man.
Golly. That's crazy. What else? What else we got? Oh, we haven't talked about our own families as far as our um, where we're from and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
You want to
Go ahead.
share?
You could
Okay.
start. Yep.
Okay. So my dad's from Hapai, Wailoa. That's where his dad is from.
And what's his last name?
Tuyaki.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And further back, it was Latu. So we go by Tuyaki. Um, and then he grew up in Matahao in Tongatapu. And my mom, her last name was Iyongi, and she grew up in Togomololo, but they're from Haakame in Tonga. So
How come it's near where? What is it near?
I don't know. I've never been there, or I don't remember being there because we lived in Tonga for 2 years, and we went everywhere, but
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where exactly we were.
Right.
So, but yeah, and so like, and I know like my second, third, sometimes fourth cousins. And that's how it is. I guess that's how it is being poly. You just know, your relatives that well. So
Yeah,
I
that is
did,
really wild to know. Like I know my distant cousins. You know.
yeah, because I dated my fifth cousin one time.
Ooh, tapuena.
Yeah, and they weren't about that. She was not about it, dude. I was like, I mean, it's fifth,
Yeah, it's not. It's not the
but
same.
yeah, because of the relationship itself, right? So the
Yeah.
parents or the grandparents or whatever, they were close enough, and they were close enough to the information. They were close enough, so they were close enough. But me myself, I wasn't that close.
Oh, I see.
So I was just like whatever. Um, but yeah, Tonga, and then my grandfather's grandfather moved to Tonga from Samoa. So
On your mom's side?
on my mom's side, yeah.
Yep.
So my grandfather is quarter Samoan because his grandfather was young, Iongi, and he was a Palangi guy, and he married a lady from Samoa, and so their kids were half, and my grandfather is quarter. So my
Hmm.
mom actually lived in Samoa for a little bit, Western, I believe it is. It's in, and that's our tie there. My dad, I don't know how many generations ago was Fijian or had a Fijian ancestor, and so I'm just a big mixed bag of nuts over here.
Right on.
And then I myself, I'm an American, right? I'm a
America.
proud patriot, American conservative,
America.
and America. And so yeah, so that's what's going on over here. So
Mm.
born in Kahoku, lived in Laie, Laie to Provo, Provo to Long Beach, Long Beach to Tonga, Tonga to Arizona, Arizona to Inglewood, Inglewood to East Palo Alto, which is the Bay Area, and then from there back to Salt Lake, or back to Provo, and then Provo to Salt Lake, and now Trenton, Missouri. Yeah, so that's
Wow.
my story. What about you?
Mm. Oh, real quick, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Oh, there's eight of us. There's four boys, four girls. My youngest sister died in Tonga. She was just a baby back in '87, I believe.
Hmm.
And so, and all of us together, me and my seven siblings are still around. There are like 55 grandkids from us. My dad passed away last year. We buried him here in Trenton. There's actually three Tongans buried in this cemetery here in Trenton.
Really?
Yeah. and they were, damn, I think they all died last year. Oh
That's
no,
great.
my dad died the year before last year, and the other two people died last year here.
Yeah.
And there was one old man that died here, but they took him back to Salt Lake and they buried him there. So we have roots here now in northern Missouri. So
Mm.
yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay, so there's a lot of similarities in our family, right?
Right?
So on my mom's side, my grandfather on my mom's side is from Hapai, uh, from not Ngalia, but from Pangai, and he's a Tautua'a. His name is Unga, and his mother, I believe her name is Asena, and she is part Fijian. And I
Nice.
believe, yeah, she's from. I remember the name of the place in Fiji, but I don't remember right now. And then my grandfather Unga, his family moved to a place called Koloa, I believe, in town. I could be wrong, but I believe that is. And then my grandmother on my mom's side, her name is Leata O Young. Her last name is Young, and she actually is. That's how we're related. You have the Young side from Samoa. Well, that side that came from Samoa initially, uh, further down the line, there was a brother that came to Tonga before, and through Tofoa and the other islands where he initially settled. Um, that line of the Youngs and the Yongis, that's how we're related. And
Nice.
yeah, so it's my grandmother's, and her dad's last name is Young, but her mom's name is Tohi, and she grew up in Ngalaia, which is right next to where my grandfather grew up. And so that's on my mom's side, and my mom is Tongan, and then my dad, he is Samoan. His father is from a place called uh, Wailele in Upolu in Western Samoa,
Nice.
and his family is actually from, if I can remember it, Niue. They're Niueans. You know,
Oh, nice.
they have family, they have a lineage from Niue. And then my grandmother, her last name is Ulopa. Her name is Leua Ulopa, and she's from Pango Pango, the capital. And um, so my grandmother and my grandfather, they met and they raised their family in uh, American Samoa in Tutuila, and that's where my father was born and raised. And his name is Alex Alexander, and I'm named after him. And he was a musician, and he played for a band called the Rainmaker Band. And
The
most
rain
of
make
the
us.
Rainmakers, yeah, and most of the people in that band were, there's a guy named Louis Fa and some other guys that most of them were Tongan, but they decided to get together because they were so popular to do a tour. And the first place they went was Tonga, and that's how the Samoan and Tongans got together. You know, my mom and my dad met because he made it there, and then I think I shared the story with you before. He was kind of instructed, hey, if you want to be with my daughter, my grandfather said, if you want to be with my daughter, you can't be playing in this band, you know, go get, you know, doing all crazy stuff at night. We don't know what you're doing, so got to get rid of that. So he owned the equipment, but you know, he didn't want to keep it. The story goes, my dad said, you know, he gave it to these young kids who were related to my mom. They happened to be, I believe it was your uncles, Xiale Yongi, and that's your uncle, right?
Yeah, it's my
Yeah,
mom's brother.
yeah, gave it to them, and then you know, I find out the other day your mom said that my dad and your dad played together at BYU Hawaii or PCC. That's
Yeah,
wild, you know?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And
Uh,
so my dad, after I was born in '73, you know, a few months I was born, they moved to Hawaii, then to Los Angeles, and we were in Hawaii for probably about 5 or 6 years. My dad was going to school at BYU Hawaii, and then moved to Los Angeles, and most of my formative years were in Compton, California. I grew up in the projects there in Park Village, And I let me tell you another wild thing about that's similarity in our story. I have 8 brothers and sisters. There's 4 boys and 4 girls. How crazy is that?
For real?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Damn.
I'm number 3, so there's a boy and then a girl and then me. Yeah, and we grew up in a musical family in California, but the majority of my my immediate brothers and sisters and my parents, they live in the Salt Lake City area. And as you know, I live here in the Florida Panhandle with my fiance. But yeah, and I I don't go to church, but I believe in the gospel, and you know, I'm okay with that.
But you played the bass too.
Did you play the bass?
I played the bass.
I played the bass, man. Did you start off with the bass?
Yeah, started off with
Oh,
the bass, played the bass the entire time I was part of my uncle's band and
I started off
traveled.
with the drums,
Oh, really?
and I was terrible. And so they had to figure something else for me out, because they wanted me to sing, and I couldn't keep a beat while I was singing. So
Oh,
I went
yeah.
to the bass, and they didn't expect the bass player to sing, so I was good, man.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had 1 or 2 songs that they let me sing, but other than that, I didn't want to. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, we're both bass players from Hawaii with Tonga and Samoa friggin'
For
roots.
real, man, for real.
So there's so many things we have in common, man.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so you have how many kids you have?
9.
9, okay. And are a lot of those adults already or out of the house?
3 of them are adults. One's out of
Hmm.
the house. She got married and she actually moved to Hawaii with her husband, and they just had a kid last week. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm a grandfather, and I don't know how to feel about that yet. I don't feel like one.
Are you around the
But
grandkids a lot?
no, no. She's
No.
that's the first. That's my first grandkid
Where do they live again?
in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
So
Have you spent a lot of time with the grandkid?
no, I haven't even met him. She just had him last week.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think your grandfather powers hasn't turned on since you haven't met the child. But once that happens, man, you'll become a totally different person, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You transfer all your protective powers over to this one little child, and everybody else, you just kind of kick them to the curb. I don't care about you
Can
guys. I just love this child right here. You
we
know?
take a commercial break right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Light it up. Grab a drink, we bout to chop it up. Yeah, yeah. Chop it up, chop it up. We just vibing, never run. Real talk, no filter, no front. Laughing loud, that's how we run. Chop it up, chop it up. Best nights when the words don't stop. From the store, yeah, we keep it a book. That's the vibe when we chop it up. Pull up, no plan, just a move. Kicks on the couch, we in the groove, yeah. Deep combos at 2 a.m. Fix the world and we laugh again. No phone, just us and the vibe. Truth on the table, we keep it live. We just vibing, never rushing. Real talk, no filter, no front, laughing loud.
All right. Hey, those of you guys just joining us. Once again, my name is Alex. I'm living here in Florida, and the name of our podcast is Chop It Up. And basically, we do what it says. We just talk and we make conversation and try to make sense of things and understand where we're from. And it's crazy. I've known you for a minute on TikTok. We talked before, but I had no idea how closely we were related to each other. And I shared a lot of your ideology. In a lot of your videos, I would comment in them. You know, but it's great to finally connect the dots, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you dancing to music I can't hear or something?
Yeah, the song's playing.
Wait a second. How is that possible? I can't hear anything.
It's playing.
Oh, really? Let me see if I go down here.
There it
Still
is.
playing?
Nope.
Okay. There's a remnant. You know how those remnants happen? They just come and go as they please, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So we that's crazy. The connections are crazy.
Hmm.
Similarities and the irony and places and people, right?
Yeah.
And it is a small world out in Polynesia. I would like to hear what anybody who's watching wants us to talk about.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I will tell you right now, I could tell that there are 4 people watching.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah.
What are
You
they
know,
saying?
I haven't seen anything. Let me see. Let me open this up. See what they're saying. See how,
Oh,
no.
you don't have the comment section open?
Yeah, it's open. Somebody gave us a rich. Oh, that's my buddy. Richard Hosaka. He got there and gave us a shaka.
Oh,
It's
right
probably,
on.
yeah. So everybody else is like, what are these nutheads talking about, man?
Yeah, what are these two idiots talking about here?
Yeah, they're like, basically, they're saying right now is, when will they shut up?
You said you guys, so we lived in TVA together, you and
Yeah,
I,
right, right.
and our dads played in the band at
Yeah,
PCC together.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, TVA is Temple View Apartments. It's in Laie, and the the apartments were situated where you could see the temple, the LDS temple, from where the apartments. So that's why they called it the Temple View Apartments.
And what year were you born?
I was born in '73,
73. I was born in 77.
so 4 years apart.
Yeah. What month were you born?
April.
May, June, July, August, September. So you were 4 years and 7 months when I was born.
Mm.
And then you guys left La Ie.
Right about 80, 1980. No, it's probably 79, 79, 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was about 2 or 3 years old,
Yep.
right? You were 7 and I was 3.
Yeah. You
So I
remember a
wonder,
lot about Hawaii?
not much, but we do have pictures of us being in school in Rainbow Elementary. I
Mm,
think that's in Kahoku. Last time I checked. But I wonder if we ran around and played together at some point, you know?
probably.
Man, that's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, probably.
But you were
We used,
7, I was 3.
yeah. I'm gonna tell you something I remember about that time. We had for some reason we had these sister missionaries that I think they were in our ward, but they were really close with our family. They were close with us as kids, and there was Sister Judy, and I believe the other one was Sister Sakamoto.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a great memory.
No, no, Sister Judy and Sister Ray. Sister Judy and Sister Ray. I knew them. I think that was their first names, Judy and Ray. And I think I don't remember the last names. So I have a sister named Judy, and I have a sister named Molly Ray, named after them. But
Oh, nice.
Sister Ray passed away on her mission in Hawaii, and I remember the services for her there. Is I can't. I didn't have any emotional attachment to her. I just thought it was sad, and I think it's sad now looking back at it. I
Right.
hope I was a sad kid about it, but we loved hanging out with them. Those are things. Some of the things I remember about that time. I remember they took us, and I think maybe the missionary standards, or not standards, but the policies were a little lax then, because they took us to watch the first Star Wars when it came out. We
Oh,
went to watch
nice.
Star. Yeah. So yeah, there's just some of those few things I remember that time. It was pretty cool.
That's crazy that your parents named the kids after them.
Yeah.
It must have been close.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have a sister named Karma, and it was my dad's secretary when my dad was the student body president at BYU.
Oh wow.
So we have a name from that era also.
Hmm. Karma.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
So do you guys have a Tongan ward there?
yeah.
One Tongan ward?
One Tongan ward.
Do
Yep.
all the Tongans that are LDS there, do they all go to that ward?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not in
Uh
Missouri. Just there is one family in Independence
huh.
that comes out here on the weekends and goes to church out here.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, most everybody lives around this area, 20, 30 minutes, within 20 or 30 minutes.
So do you still play music?
Not much anymore. I used to when I was still in Salt Lake, me, my brother, and Unga would go around mix and play,
Yeah.
and we played a lot of the old folk, any songs with harmonies,
Oh.
old songs, you know. So that was the cool part about playing with them is that
You guys did the falsetto music?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like the Ongo Latu voices? Man, that guy was nice.
I don't think I know almost,
Yeah.
but
He had a really high falsetto.
yeah,
Yeah.
I used to, but
Oh.
something happened. I think it may have been physiological.
Is it Ongo Latu or Ongo Matai? I don't know. I'm terrible with names, man.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, look, I don't, I can't see your perspective as an artist because, you know, I was never a first string bassist, I was second, third string. So, you know, I was the third string that they called, if they needed somebody to give everybody water and stuff. So, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
yeah. So you were part of Mission Iris?
No.
Oh,
The heck? No, it was just my uncle Molo had a band that we were a part of. And I played with them my freshman year, sophomore year,
hmm,
and that was in the Bay Area when we were still living in East Palo Alto. My junior year, we came out of Salt Lake and I started playing, well, Provo, and I started playing football.
oh,
And we played Friday nights at a few places that I had to play.
hmm,
Now, if I wasn't starting, I probably would have just went played. But my physical abilities were just so outstanding that um, they started me, so I had to play
yeah,
and
there you
then
go.
rush over after to go play in the band. So
Hmm,
the year after my senior year, yeah, I just couldn't play anymore. So I was replaced.
yeah.
So I know how you feel. But other than that, yeah, I've always been singing, harmonizing with my brother. So other
You
than
you
that,
had a you had an uncle. I know there were some youngies that lived. When you're driving towards Los Angeles and you just passed Barstow, there is like I don't know if that's Lawndale or what that area is. Out in the desert, there's a Youngie family that lived out there, and they had a band. Do you know who that was?
yeah, that was Molonai. That was the
Well, no,
band that
yeah,
I was a part of back
yeah,
then. It
yeah.
was them. They're the ones that stay there. They're in Victorville right now.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think that was Victorville.
yeah, and I have a cousin. One of the daughters passed away, and she was buried out there. And
Oh,
then
sorry to hear that.
yeah, that's his youngest daughter. And then I have another cousin. His youngest son just passed away maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're both in Victorville, buried in Victorville. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, but yeah, other than that, life goes on, right?
Right. Well, that's
So
good. There's something I was just about to bring up to you, but I can't remember what it was. That'll probably come back to me later. Yeah. So how do you feel about visiting Salt Lake, that area?
I was there last year, went out there
Uh-huh.
for a family reunion, and it's a lot more busy. It's a lot more congested. The driving, the living, there's a whole bunch of new stuff. And so it looks like an upgraded version of San Francisco.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's yeah. It has that liberal feel to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be honest, Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was at the tip of my tongue somewhere, but I couldn't put it. I was like, what is it? Why does it look like San Francisco? Yeah, it has a
Yeah.
liberal feel to it,
Yeah.
right? Everything's brand new, but it's all just thrown into one, city stacked up and, stacked
Right.
sideways. So, but yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot more people out there, man.
Do you
So,
enjoy visiting or going there?
yeah, I don't mind visiting, because of all the people. And I used to go to a lot of kava spots out there, kava
Yeah.
bars and just mixing with people. So,
Yeah, I'm
um,
I'm not I'm not a fan. And it has less to do with the people and stuff. It has more to do with the elevation, you know, just the how arid the air is there, and it's really difficult being at a high elevation coming from we live right on the water here,
right,
near the waterfront. So we're at you know the lowest elevation with we have humidity here, and so when you go from that and you fly to a place that's at that elevation with really dry, arid, climate, it takes a toll on your body. And sometimes it takes a day or two to just to get acclimated to what the weather or what the environment is there. So,
right.
and it sucks, man. Like headaches and runny noses for us. So that's just one of the reasons why. Other than that, I have all my family and my relatives who live there. So,
Right,
yeah.
right, right on.
Right on.
Man, wonder where those two guys are.
Yeah, they're probably spending time with the family.
Yeah, sure.
That's all good. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw that. I talked to that one guy, Ola's Live. Did you do any research into that? Yeah,
I I've seen some of their videos before,
yeah,
some of his, and he goes live pretty. I don't know
yeah,
if he goes often, but he's a
yeah.
good
He
live.
he's his videos were like all over the place when I first got onto TikTok back in like 2020. During the COVID time, and so I remember him and his daughter. They just had these hilarious skits all the time, and then back in 2021 towards the end, I got on one of his lives, and we were chatting. He was chatting to me on live, and I got on there, and we made some. You know, we joked about different things. Because I told him, how great In and Out Burger is, and he lives in New Zealand, and they don't have that there, and he thought it was kind of like I was trying to flex on him because they don't have that, but so I made fun, and we went to Salt Lake a couple months later, and we took a video of us that we posted and tagged them in it that we're eating at In and Out. So
Right.
we became, online friends or online associates, or us, associated with them to some extent. And I asked him, and he said, he'd check it out and let us know you know, if we had some time to, or he had some time to jump on. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think if a lot more people knew about this area,
Hmm.
the potential, even what it is right now, which is, I mean, there's 6,000 people in this town, but how cheap it is, and
Yeah. Well, I'm
you
gonna tell
know,
you something that I know for sure, that a benefit that you have there is that because just a little bit of information about that area. You know, Fort Riley. I think that's Fort Riley, not far from you guys in Kansas. Um, it used to be called Camp Center when it first became a military installation. The reason why they called it Camp Center because at the time the government figured that's the geographical center of the United States. So they believed if they put a installation there, it would be easy to get to all points in America, you know, quicker if everyone was stationed there. And so eventually it became Fort Riley. But having known that, now that you know that, Kansas City has some of the cheapest flights from there because it's centralized to the entire America. And so you can fly
mm,
anywhere for really, you know, a lot cheaper than anywhere else, I think. So that's why,
interesting,
yeah, that's why I like that airport, you know.
right?
And I was stationed at Fort Riley for 3 or 4 years.
Right out, right on.
Yeah.
Well, well, I'm about to be stationed in jail here in a little bit. Do some
Well,
time over there.
hopefully, if you get a chance, you can like do a bunch of the days, you know, consecutively, so you don't have to do the weekend so much.
Yeah, yeah. It flew by pretty quick. I thought I was on week 4 last week, but this week will be week 6. So
Ooh, yeah. So it's flying, man.
yeah, I had 15 to do, and now I have 10 left.
Man, it would be nice if you just had somebody who said, "Hey, you know, we're supposed to mark 2 days, but we're gonna put 3 days in there."
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that probably never happened.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So, what else? You got anything you want to chop it up about before we?
Man, I really gotta take notes.
Yeah.
I really gotta take notes. Write stuff down. That way it's easy to access.
Mm.
I know what it's chop it up, but when it gets to, parts like this, it's like, oh, I wish I had some notes.
Well, you know, I
I
have a lot of things I want to talk about, but I'm trying to figure a way to segue into it. And I don't think there is a segue. I think I'll just start bringing up some things, you know, because when I initially, you know, interacted with you, you were the public enemy number one against all of Hawaii, you know, because of I don't even know what the drama was about. I think you said something outrageous to them,
oh
and
yeah,
you know, yeah,
it
all the
definitely was outrageous because I was vulgar. And
you're
I
a
could have
changed
did,
man. You're a changed
huh?
man now. You're a changed
Well, I
man.
mean, I know better now
Yeah,
to choose when my vulgarity comes out, but
yeah,
I still believe the same way as far as Hawaii is concerned.
right.
So, and that's a friggin' that's a discussion all in itself.
Yeah, the state of Hawaii, I think, is a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah, but yeah, it was the most hated out of the Hawaiians.
yeah. So this account you have on TikTok right now is a backup account or a new account?
Yeah, it's my third one.
Yeah, because
But
they banned you after your initial one, right?
yeah, they've been the last two.
Hmm.
And so this third one, I try to make it so that they can't ban
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So so did you live in Hawaii for a while or?
So I was born in there in '77,
Uh-huh.
and we left there in '82, I believe it
Right.
was. And then when we came back from Tonga in '88, we stayed there for a little bit, and then I didn't go back there till 2002, and I went and stayed out there with my cousins who live in Laie, and so I got to walk around and look at the school, the entire place, and yeah, it's a trip, going there in your 20s, knowing that you were there, when you were 5 or 6, to see what your parents were doing in their 20s.
Right.
So
So you haven't lived there, like you haven't moved back there in lately, recently.
no, no.
Hmm.
The only time I go out there is if the school that my brother coaches at goes and plays out there,
Oh yeah.
and then I'll go out there and visit and check it out.
Yeah. Do you know if he has any aspirations to go professional as coaching?
Um, into the league,
Yeah.
NFL. I'm sure if he got an offer, he'd probably go.
Right.
But that entire structure, right, of coaches, it's its own world. Seems like from a lot of his descriptions, as far as who you know matters, um, people's perception of you matters, and so he's not very high on the totem pole on either of
Mm,
those. But
no.
the players that he did recruit and the players that he did coach, um, they're the ones that actually know how good he actually is. So, um, other than that, he's playing the games like everybody else.
Yeah. So maybe a few more years, get a little more stock in his name, and then you know maybe another bigger school, or
Yeah.
has he reached his potential in terms of the collegiate level?
Well, he's never head coached,
Oh.
so that's a thing, and that's a thing that he recently said, "Dude, I'm ready to take over a program, but when and if that's going to happen,
Right.
we don't know." So,
Yeah. 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 I'm just remembering a story when I used to, because I was stationed in Hawaii for 4 years. I told you that earlier,
oh,
but
nice.
yeah, just as a side job, I used to drive Uber, and uh, that's a pretty interesting job. It was well paying, and you never had to drive more than an hour or so for someone because you're on an island. So that was some of the benefits of driving Uber there.
An hour
But
is a long drive.
yeah, 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 yeah. But on the island, 20 minutes seems like forever, because for some reason your whole focus on the distance shrinks and you think, oh man, I got to drive all the way 10 minutes over there. It seems like a lot, but you come here like, daily you're driving hours or,
How's the
multiple
traffic out
hours.
there?
Well, it's based off of the time of day, and direction of traffic is based off the time of day. So you knew if once you started driving, you know when to start. If you're in a certain area, if you're going to be traffic's going to be worse, But so I have a cool story to tell you about driving Uber in Hawaii, if you don't mind, unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So I was driving in Hawaii, uh, kind of left Laie, and I was coming around the north side of Oahu, going towards Haleiwa. And
Yeah.
I stopped to, because I had a sandwich. I wanted to, eat it at this place they called um, Turtle Beach. And they call it Turtle Beach because people stop there to walk down and look at the turtles. I'm sure there's a Hawaiian name for the beach, but that's what the nickname was. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there eating my dinner, lunch, or whatever it was. And I see this older couple, this man and this woman, who clearly were tourists. They were walking towards, the entrance to go down to the turtles. And there's a kid sitting there at the entrance in a wheelchair. And uh, I think he was Hispanic or something. He looked like that. So the guy of this couple stops and he looks at the kid and talks to him for a minute. And then he kind of scoops the kid out of the chair and carries him down to the water, and I see him go down to where I guess his family was down there, and he sat the kid down, and I believe he sat him on a rock, and um, was able to look up closer to the turtles. Then he carried him back and put on the chair, and I just thought to myself, man, and he was probably in his late 50s, and I just thought, man, that's just such a wonderful, you know, show of service to someone else. Clearly, they didn't know each other, right? And so when that happened, I thought about it, and I thought it was great. This guy's, somebody great, and it's a great story to tell somebody else. So I turned on my Uber, app, so I could collect whoever's the next fare is. And lo and behold, this couple, they were looking for, they turned on their Uber at the same time, and I linked up with them. And so I drove them back to town.
Nice.
And I took them, actually, I took them to Pearl Harbor, and then I took them from Pearl Harbor back to their hotel. And then he asked me, hey, what would it cost if, I just paid you directly and, drove me around and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, you do that. And so the next day I drove them around and showed them the area, took them to Laia Point, different places.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, we're chopping it up at, and I told them I was there because I was stationed in Hawaii in the military. And then I really had no reason to ask him this, before, but I said, hey, what do you do? And he goes, I'm the sheriff of Los Angeles County, right? And I said, you hear those things, sheriff of Los Angeles County. I was like, and I thought to myself, oh, so you're like a deputy? He was like, oh, no, I'm the sheriff. I thought to myself, what? And so as soon as I heard that, it didn't compute, because this guy's a sheriff. And then I quickly looked up that it's one of the largest sheriff's department in the world, 18,000 employees, I believe, LA County has.
Damn.
And he's the sheriff of this place. And come to find out, he started in LAPD, and then he was in the Long Beach Police Department. I believe he was the chief there, and then he became the sheriff, and that's when I met him. And I thought to myself, back to when he carried this guy down to the turtles, I was like, wow, what a guy of principle to, even though he's the sheriff, he doesn't act like it, or what we would think somebody would act like. And, he was able to show some grace to this guy and carry him down. I just thought it was a great thing, and we've become friends to this day. We're still friends. And I think last year about this time, we went to visit him and his wife, Kathy, and we spent some time with them, went to eat dinner and everything. So, we still have this great bond with him. But now he's the chief of police of Los Angeles. His name is Jim McDonnell. Just great guy, great people. Just such a blessing to have them in our, as friends. And, they're really kind to us whenever we visit. So
That's cool, man.
Yeah. But it's great to know that even though you have these positions that are, of stature or of a lot of influence, you could still be a person of service to one another, to the lowest of us, I think that's a great thing.
And was the kid that he picked up, was he a Hawaiian kid or something?
No, I think he was Hispanic. I think there were, I think they were, Hispanic, like Mexican or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And how long ago were you over in Hawaii, Ubering?
So we left Hawaii at the beginning of 2017.
Mm.
And I met him towards the end of 2016.
Mm.
Somewhere around there, yeah. Yep. Yeah, great guy.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when they were building that hotel, I believe, in Turtle Bay. The last time I was living in Hawaii, I was living in Laie with my cousins.
Mm.
But we found some of the chicks that went to BYU.
Mm-hmm.
and we took him to Turtle Bay to go mix.
Mm.
And so that's my memory of Turtle Bay.
Yeah, if you go past Sunset and you go past the Laie, not the Laie, but the Foodland and
Yeah.
Waimea, there's a stretch right between Waimea and Haleiwa where there's a beach there. That beach, they nicknamed it Turtle Beach because that's where people would walk down to see so it's a little distance from where Turtle Bay is, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Turtle Beach and Turtle Bay, different places, huh?
Right. But it has a different name to it. It's not Sunset, it's past Sunset, but that's where like people would park, and it had some parking issues, but people would park there and they'd walk down and see the turtles.
So there's no hotel there.
Not in that area, yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
It's probably just before you get into the Haleiwa area. That's where that stretch is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shoot. That's some freaking history down memory lane.
Right. Yeah. So looking into next Tuesday, you guys have any ideas or anybody else? Just you guys can hit me up and we'll talk about those other guys. But everybody else is interested in, we could go ahead and call it if you want to, and then we'll talk a little bit about it offline.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, so everybody who's watching, thanks for being here with us and appreciate it. And if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about, drop it in the comment section. And thank you for being here with us. All right, we'll talk to you there. Hey, should I do like an outro?
Do an outro. Do that. Bump that mug.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Outro video.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's right. We have a catchphrase. Pam saying we got to use our catchphrase as we leave. Thank you for chopping it up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to that extent,
Come
right?
back for the next time we chop it up.
Right?
Join us next time
on the days of your lives.
As
all right,
we chop
buddy.
it up.
I wonder if you just click this, no? Or when you end the stream, I wonder if it automatically outros it.
Well, you have to create an outro video, and then there's an outro.
Yeah, I already put it in there, bro.
Oh, drop it then.
Yeah, let's see. Well, it's gonna play it
like it's hot.
All right, brother.
Yeah. Light it up. Grab a drink, we bout to chop it up. Yeah. Chop it up. We just vibing, never run. Real talk, no filter, no front. Laughing loud, that's how we run. Chop it up. Best nights when the words don't stop. From the store, yeah, we keep it a book. That's the vibe when we chop it up. Pull up, no plan, just a move. Kicks on the couch, we in the groove, yeah. Deep combos at 2 a.m. Fix the world and we laugh again. No phone, just us and the vibe. Truth on the table, we keep